Man, I'll tell you what, going from the first two episodes of The Acolyte and looking at some of the comment sections from that video, and people were not nice to me, man. I was like, I think the first two episodes of The Acolyte were promising. There were things in it that I enjoyed, and I went into all that on the show on the episode 1 and 2 covers last week. And I hate to be in a position where I'm now kind of scratching my head and seemingly about to do a volte face, an about face, a quid, not a quid pro quo, but a change of heart. Because goddamn, this episode was bad. Like, this was truly awful. Now, listen, I think there's something to be said about the narrative, agenda, politics that some people are clearly going to poke holes at in this. And there's equally something to be said about taking all the politics off the table, just on not objective, because all things in film critique are subjective, obviously, but on a purely narrative level. So focusing purely on the story, not even focusing on the politics and the gender politics and all of the stuff that people have a problem with. This just wasn't good on any level. Um, let's, I guess, talk about the funny side of it, the part that's going to trigger the anti woke mob. I mean, in the first 5 minutes, you have a lesbian couple with a black woman. Now, I watched that, turned to my wife, and I was like, whoo, I know that there's a corner of the internet that's not going to be happy about this. Frankly, in a world which is inhabited by aliens, the fact that there are women and lesbians and black people and Asians, the fact that this bothers some people, it's funny to me, man. It just doesn't bother me. So I haven't changed my stance since last week. I don't mind the diverse cast. I don't feel I don't feel offended watching this. I'm not a quivering little white man who's offended by the fact that there are people who do not represent me and who represent others. Couldn't care less. It's entertainment at the end of the day. I think with something like all of this political narrative and the woke and the anti-woke and the hate mob and the pro mob, all of that nonsense, it's like you're gonna be able to see that whatever you bring, no matter what show you bring. Like if that's part of your thought process and your makeup, and you come to a kind of liberal think tank like Disney, of course it's gonna trigger you. Like there's stuff that's going to trigger you in this show if that's the cloth you're cut from, and that's fine. Listen, I'm not saying I'm right, you're wrong. I mean, we're cut from a different cloth. It's all good. So, politics out the way. I've said my piece on that, but they are present, and there is going to be a huge contingent of people who are going to have an issue with some of the representation on screen. Fine, do you? Focusing on the narrative. This wasn't good, man. Damn, this was bad. Now, whereby I thought there were some promising things with the first two episodes, which I've already said, sorry for repeating myself. I don't know what we were doing here. Now, usually the problem with a lot of these Disney Plus shows is that there's too much filler, and I was like, you can't pass this episode off as filler. There's no spoilers here. I'm not going to go into it because it's a fresh review, and I don't want to ruin it for those who haven't seen it yet. But that this wasn't a filler episode. This was just bad, and it focused on the twins 16 years ago, like why they split, why one went bad, and why one became a Jedi. But I'll say this without giving anything away. If you're able to explain to me why one went bad, like, bravo. Because this made no sense. The reasons for the sisters splitting, yes, you can argue that the Jedi were at the core of it, but the actual denouement, the unfolding of this character dynamic, of this arc that the sisters are going through, was non-existent, not believable in any way, shape, or form, and as a result, this episode falls flat. Um, there are still things I'm curious to see unfold. I want to see just how deep the manipulation of the Jedi goes. I do want to see how this plays out between the two sisters, and of course, I do want to see who this Sith is. I hope it's not just a random Darth somebody, and it's actually someone of note. But after what they did to Snoke, I don't remain that hopeful. And that aside, now focusing on just the presentation of this episode, it didn't feel like Star Wars. The focus on this Covenant of Witches, it felt really B movie. It felt naff. It felt cheesy, and I was just scratching my head, going, "What the f am I watching, man?" It's not great. This now, look, I'm gonna watch the whole series. I'm not gonna slam it. I want to see how this plays out. But this is a major nosedive after the first two episodes, and the first two episodes were already quite divisive. I fell on the side of cautious optimism as opposed to outright positivity or negativity. This doesn't fill me. Like, put it this way, I'm not dying to see the episode next week. I'll watch it, but I'm not like, oh, must watch TV. Especially when you consider that The Boys season 4 and House of the Dragon is about to arrive. And for some of you out there, Bridgerton, also cool. But like, I don't know, man. Those are my thoughts on it. What did you guys think? Leave your thoughts in your comments below. Did you think this was as bad as I thought it was? Are you still having a shred of hope? Did the lesbian couple bother you? Let's open Pandora's box and invite the commentary and let me know what you thought. And yeah, I'll see you next week for another episode of the Acolyte recap review thing that I'm doing here on the Silver Screen Dudes. But yeah, subscribe button here, another video for you to watch up there, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye for now, everyone, and thank you as always for watching. Appreciate it.